Welcome, everybody, to Views from the Bridge, your second favorite podcast about your favorite team. Maybe the Philadelphia Union. Before we get started tonight, I will put it out there into the universe that number one, beating a Trinidad and Tobago team 13-0 says nothing about where this club is at for the rest of this MLS campaign and probably the rest of the CONCACAF Champions Cup campaign. And number two, if you care, I think preseason baseball is happening right now. I heard something about the Phillies today. If we're already over the Union. But then you've got guys like us who are crazy who will talk about the Union kind of no matter what the situation is. So, Chuck, how are you doing today?
Actually, it's 100 days to the World Cup, and I am actually sort of good. It's like that weird, I guess basically the fall spring before winter continues again.
Yes.
As like this week and next week isn't too bad, but then also realizing with it being under 100 days, there is a lot to come.
There is a lot to come. But you don't have to write about Champions League this week, so.
Well, I'll have to write about Champions Cup soon, since Club America are big enough for me to go in person to cover.
There you go. There you go. Evan, how are you this week? This fine.
I am Josh Sargent's $20 million friend.
So a waste?
Yep. Yep. In a world where we'll talk about it in a bit, I'm consistently reminding myself that the reason we're a second half club in the MLS season is because we wait way too long to bring guys in. I then have to remind myself that at least we didn't spend a ton of money on a guy who I don't think is going to sniff 10 goals.
Yeah. And the prodigal son returns. Paul Catrino Jr., how are you?
Yeah, and I'm so freaking excited. I'm great, Justin. I've started taking up haikus. I'm learning new crafts and skills. My first one, I guess, for the season is goes a little something like this. I think Ben Bender that's the first line. That's 5 syllables. I didn't say I was good. He's probably not a left back. So we should stop that, please. We'll see if I get better as the season goes on.
I'll say I wasn't counting along, but I at least agree with you. So.
I was, and I'll overlook the lack of structure to agree with the message found with them.
Yeah, I'm only
so good thing with that though. The Philadelphia Union have signed an actual left back who we will see at some point. Hopefully this week.
Thanks for
that. Felipe Ndinga, I don't know how you say his last name. I don't know how you say his last name. But I will look into that. But 2.2 million sounds like on the transfer fee. An actual left back who plays left back, who seems to be good at left back, who can have all of our right backs go back to the position in which they are currently fighting on playing.
Sounds like music to my ears, because we have seen everyone play left back except an actual left back. Well, actually, that's a lie. We did see a left back play in Champions Cup. Well, actually, technically, he's a right back. So, but right back with Union too. So, never mind. We have not seen an actual left back play left back at all this season.
There you go.
We have not. We have not.
and
So that will be a nice change of pace.
like allowed themselves to really be flexible in the situation, especially because they just found out their left back wanted to leave in 2023. So I'm glad this problem didn't kept them too off guard, and they actually signed a left back. So I don't know. Good for them, I guess. Still keeping it right to the end, but it did get over the finish line.
But it sounded like there was a thought there. I think there was.
It's. There's two thoughts. One of them, I appreciate how thought out the shadow government known as our sporting director has been with all these signings, but at the same time, like there is a world where it would be nice to at least hear about something kind of happening before it happens. Like I think this year more than most, like all of the signings that we made sort of just like matriculated into Florida or Spain and were on the team. And that's fine. And I know why that happens, and I know what it was like in the before times. Of which I think like us and JT are the only people that are still around from when the club was like a sieve of rumors. So maybe we try again with a little bit better embargo tactics. I don't know. The other part of it is it's weird that we all had a shopping list going into the season, and it took us until match day 3 to like get that sort of completed. And we're still honestly probably waiting for another center.
Yeah, so this is actually where I'm very annoyed with this front office. I feel like there's lots of reasons to be annoyed with this front office, but number one is it almost feels like they're treating this year as the rebuilding year that we thought last year was going to be. And that's something that would have been perfectly fine last year when it was like, oh, like new everything, like this team sneaks into playoffs. But you won Supporter Shield and made Champions Cup. And now that you're in Champions Cup, you should want to compete. And being in preseason against a team in Trinidad is fine. Being in preseason against Club America is not. And
Right.
it's not like as we stated earlier in the podcast, needing a left back isn't a new issue. Like Kai's never had a real backup. So no matter what, even if he were still here, the Union would still need a left back that wouldn't be on this roster. And when you look at everything and just wonder what the ambitions of this club actually are, because we've seen now what participation in the Club World Cup can bring to MLS teams, and it's pretty significant. You should be putting almost, especially since like it's early in the season and you don't really need to focus on anything else but this one tournament right now. You should be putting all of your eggs in the Champions Cup basket, and they're not.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. I think, yeah, you would have liked to see this signing. I mean, glad it's happening. Like, let me be straight about that. I'm glad that we signed a left back, but it would have been nice for this signing to happen 2 months ago when we knew we needed it.
Because here's the whole thing too, right? To Chuck's point, what does us getting a great start in MLS get us? Another supporter shield? Look at how happy it made this franchise last season. Exactly.
Well, and like to your point,
sport,
Paul, like we never start that well.
Look, it's one of those things where it's like getting out of the gate is one thing, but this is like an entirely new roster. you need to just learn how to play together. And it's exactly what, to Chuck's point, the big games that they should be focusing on are the Champions League games. Like, it really should be. Those should be the points of effort, because it is new endeavors that the Union are taking on. And clearly right now, regular season is not working out too great for them. So why not throw it all at Champions League? I completely agree.
Speaking of the MLS season not working out so great, we can kind of shift to that game specifically. The Union on Sunday afternoon at 4:30 stepped on the field. I will not use the word played. They stepped on the field against NYCFC and had a soccer match that happened on the field. Between a penalty kick that should have been called, one that probably shouldn't have, a red card that nobody understands, and a late goal, and lots of other craziness. I don't know. Where somebody start us off with this discussion and figure out where to start this game. Where to start the discussion about this game.
I got you. It's tough when you probably don't really deserve a point, but probably should have had one. Due to some very tic-tac MLS officiating that has been kind of league-wide so far. I think between the four of us, we watched probably every other game that happened this weekend as well, which, you know, is I guess good for MLS, because there is neutral games that are watchable, but a lot of weird just stop and start football the first 2 weeks of the season, where it's either everything is a foul or absolutely nothing is a foul. And yeah, I don't think Chris Penso really did himself any favors, and I don't think the MLS officiating is doing themselves any favors early on by missing a lot of these pretty obvious fouls and then odd red cards. At the same time, you can't hide behind that when you can't really play fluid soccer. And this is the other part of that, when you're too late, or maybe not too late, because too late, I guess, is never signing anybody. But when you wait so deep into your preseason to sign players, this is going to happen. So instead of gelling in Spain or in Florida when you're playing these literal meaningless games, or instead of it looking like you're going to absolutely run through the table because you curb stomp a team from Trinidad, you're stuck with, oh, we're playing real competition in a team that we don't like very much, that has a lot of very talented players, and you just don't look very good. And then you're stuck with this weird, you know, we want to be critical, and we probably feel the right to be critical and have good arguments to be critical of the team. But at the same time, there is some weird, like, logistics. Like, I don't want to blame the players for not having chemistry, because it's how many new guys trying to work with each other in, like, a new system. And that's not going to lend itself well for, like, 2 months. But the problem is we have to play, I don't know, maybe the most successful club in North America twice. And it's probably not going to look very pretty if this is the product we're putting on the field in March, April. Sorry.
Yeah, no. I have a couple of things. And I mean, like, yes, officiating was an issue. Also, it only matters so much when the Union are doing themselves zero favors. Like, Nathan Harriel took the most shots of any Union player during the game.
Mm-hmm.
And arguably, he had the best performance of any Union player during the game, playing at left back. And again, not that he is a left back, but apparently Union midfielders have kind of forgotten how to pass. And I give Jovan Lukic a bit of a pass just because he is shaking off some rust from not having a preseason, but they also kind of needed him in there, seeing how Jean-Jacques and Bueno played together in the DC game, and something needed to change. But, like, my goodness, like, just the balance of this squad right now is not in the right place. Like, even looking at pass maps from the game, the fact that Damiani was taking up the position of a 10 instead of playing as a 9, while Anello and Ilowski were essentially playing on top of each other for the whole game.
Yeah, and I think again that comes from exactly what we just talked about. Like, you've played 4 games, and I get that some of these were midweek and guys aren't in the best shape, yet. And so you can't play the same lineup in all the games. But with the red cards from last week and the red cards from this week again, like this coming week, you're playing, this week you're playing with a new striker pairing because you had played Damiani and Alado next to each other last week, and then Alado gets a red card, so now he's out, and now Damiani's got to figure out how to play with Ilowski or Anello or whoever is supposed to be up there, based on those position maps that you're talking about. But they're trying to figure out how to play with each other. Where now this coming week you're going in with a new center back pairing that you didn't expect to really have to do this early in the season. And so I think it's like, it is hard to develop the chemistry that you need to develop when every game it looks different and your pairings are different and all of that.
Also hearing a lot of arguments about, like, I will say, I know this person knows exactly who they're talking about. I see why St. Louis was so quick to drop Carnell after his second season. I'm like, dude, no one could work with this right now. With this level of turnover in the new system, it's just, I don't know. I won't really hear that
Mikey
out.
Varis might, but
yeah.
And it's tough too, because like I think in our group chat, and I think during the game, like Anello is going to be a nice piece for this team, and I think Ilowski is gonna do really good things on the wings. But like, I mean, Anello's only been with the team for the regular season. Maybe he got a preseason game in. I don't really know. I don't think they trialed him or anything. I should have looked it up, but I don't think we have any way of like actually.
He got like a second during the preseason.
Because he joined when they were in Florida, so like he maybe would have been around for like whatever those games were against USL sides. But like, it's one thing when you're bringing a guy in for recruitment and you're explaining how your system works, and you go, "We're going to play you here, and we want you to do this, and we want you to do this," and then a combination of, all right, and now do that, and here's the other people you're going to play with, and they have their tendencies, and their tendencies are not something we're going to really bring up in the meeting when we explain your role to you, but like you're going to have to learn them. So it's no wonder that these two guys are on top of each other, and Damiani's doing whatever he's doing, and there's just no real chemistry with the team right now.
I mean, how do you think Sari Larson feels when he comes in and you're like, I'm joining this great defense, playing next to one of the best left backs in the league, and then everything is rotated around me, and then has led to like also my center back partner doing stupid things and getting sent off, like, and then I have to do more.
But hey, in between looking really lost and helpless, you're going to travel to a Caribbean nation and you're going to absolutely lay the hammer on Kevin Molino for one game and a bunch of other people. And then what's weird about the rotation part of everything, on Thursday, we were like, man, Kevin Sullivan should probably start on the weekend. Look at that. Look at that game. That's his best game as a Union player, maybe in the entire organization. Okay, no, all right. And I just I don't know. We haven't had many actual criticisms of Carnell as a manager. We've had plenty of criticisms as Carnell as an interview, so that we can selfishly use him for a soundbite. But fuck us, whatever, it doesn't matter. This is the first time I've been but look at what these guys did in this game. They were so good. Let's not use them doesn't make any sense when you're really struggling to create offense.
And to your point of I would make the argument that in this game, so we go into halftime down a goal, and you got to figure out how to come back from that. And you come out of halftime, and nothing really changes right out of halftime. But then, Bender gets put on, Harriel gets put back over it right back, and then Stas comes on, and I thought we started to look better at that point. And then Calvin came on, and it was like, oh, this team actually can play a little bit. And it's then it was oh, this, between Stas and Calvin, they all of a sudden were like, oh, we need to create some chaos with this defense. And one, what should have been a PK and wasn't called, and looked at for 5 minutes, and then still decided it wasn't one. And then a few minutes later, it's a very, and again, the announcers are like, oh, that's definitely going to be a PK. And then, Penso waves it off. And then a couple minutes later, but probably shouldn't have been a PK because Stas was leaning very heavily on that defender, was called a PK and given as a foul, and we tie the game. And it's okay, but these guys are making a difference. These guys are actually wanting, it feels like they're hungry and they want to play. And so why not let them play longer than what you did in this game?
I mean, I think at this point it
Because
comes
we only
down.
talk about playing the kids and don't actually do it. Just kidding. We do, but come on. Especially Stas in this situation. They're I get you're still trying to hold the hype train on Kavin. And honestly, I do feel with Red Bulls happening right now, that's kind of good for him because there's a bunch of other 16 and 17-year-olds where he's not the only one. But when your starting striker got a red card and the next man up performed well in Champions Cup, the fact that you instead move a winger up instead of just playing him is a problem.
Yes. Agreed.
That is a legit
I can
call.
fully agree with that.
That is a legit 100% call in the decision-making process for a coach. And I will hear that for sure. Because some of these decisions to put people in positions where they're not playing, it's kind of fine if the player is flexible in doing so. Usually that comes when they are comfortable in a system, and a lot of these guys are not. So we need to stop testing fate and trying to put on hats that don't fit our heads, and just kind of get the personnel where they need to be and let the kids who are really trying to excel at that role get the chance to excel. Because, I mean, again, I can't state enough how right Chuck is. Are we the club that plays the kids, or are we the club that likes to put the sign up that says we play the kids and then don't play them?
Well, and then I think too, like, if your front five, I guess, end up being like Anello, Stas, Damiani, Olaski, Cabin, like, yeah, I'm cool if we give up like 3 or 4 goals that game, because that just sounds like a really interesting watch. And like, it's been really fun to see Stas, who's built like a tank, play against adults and look pretty comfortable. And then I also just want to circle back. I'm so sorry to corporate speak for everybody there. Last year, after I watched the Union 2 game, I said that his celebration was really shit and he should try to get a new one. And he didn't. And so I'm just wondering if he's serving some kind of internal punishment for not getting a better celly. And that's why he didn't start against New York City. Because the whole phone call, like whatever that is, it's still bad. And if he wins the MLS Landon Donovan Golden Boot, Steve Ralston Award of Honor, or whatever, doing that celebration, like I'm gonna throw myself in the Delaware.
I feel like if the Union keep playing the way they're playing, I'm going to be in the Delaware way before that.
It's
We're
gonna
light
heat up
jackets,
soon.
okay? We're light jackets. We're both doing okay.
Unfortunately, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Unfortunately, yes.
Do we have to talk about America? Do we have to talk about
We got San
America?
Jose
Is also
first.
the theme of my 2026 so far.
Yeah, right.
We
need to work on our phrasing when we.
Well, no, it works. It works. It just works in a lot of ways. I wish it didn't.
It
but,
does work. It does work.
Well, actually, we do have to talk about America in those goddamn patches.
Oh, I don't want to do that either.
No.
No,
they
because
look bad.
they'd make a jersey that should look good on TV look awful.
Yes.
So, just as a sidebar, I saw those on the Super Bowl jerseys, and I went, "Oh, those are going to be on everything, aren't they?" And here they are. And man, I get it. It's a big year for a country. Do they have to be like dead center on these things? Can they be like anywhere else? I know the sleeves are taken, but that would have been okay.
No. You can still make it work.
I mean, well, even the fact that we are now now we have signed up for MLS tramp stamps.
I did see that.
I don't know if you see. So, like, why can't that be America 250?
No, because the bottom sponsor has to be Victoria's Secret so that all the tramp stamps can say juicy. And we can just really go back to like 2004 core.
If only the Union were good at soccer, we could actually talk about that instead of this.
Well, it's March and we're already here, so.
Hey, at least we're not doing the thing we usually do when the Union are bad at soccer and talking about every other team.
That's true.
Yeah.
If there was one team that didn't need the USA 250 patch on it, it is the Union's home jersey this year. Like, does not need it at all. It is so America, it hurts. Like, they could have easily just, Adidas could have walked by them and been like, you guys are good. You passed the test this year.
Yeah, you figured it out.
The regime is...
Paul, you know that nothing in this world is more American than making something extremely American and then slapping something that tells you USA on top of it.
Yeah.
This is good kit design right here.
Because the whole thing is, I'm blown away with the reception of people enjoying the kit. I mean, really, it's become a bit of a hit. It looks pretty clean on the field, and I'm actually more happy with how it turned out than maybe originally was. But it's it's so interesting to see, like, oh, I'm probably never going to see how this jersey actually looks for this entire year because there's going to be that stupid stamp on it. And I was like, I guess I'll just find out next year.
Yeah, it's at least we
Wow.
get a 251st
Yeah.
birthday with that kit. It presumably won't have a patch.
Maybe that patch
Yeah,
will be cooler.
that is when this one's going to be still a little weird when it's like, oh, we already did the thing.
Well, it'll
And
be
we're
the
still wearing it.
1777 kit. They'll just update the background iconography up a year. We're going to ignore the fact that everything on the kit did not exist specifically in 1776. Yeah. Yeah, let's just not talk about the America games, because those are not going to end well for us.
Well, in theory, we're going to have another podcast before then. So,
It's true. Great.
But again, we're still skating around the game that we do need to talk about, and that's the undefeated San Jose Earthquakes, who, in theory, haven't played anyone, but are the Union actually performing better right now than Sporting Kansas City and Atlanta United?
Well, I mean, we certainly have more players rostered than Sporting Kansas City, so there's something there.
They have a point.
Yep. I don't know how they did that.
I mean,
it was the first week, so.
Like, what do you mean you didn't send the fax? What do you mean you didn't send the transfer request?
Bad.
How long? How many games? How many MLS games? Let's ignore Club America. How many MLS games are we gonna need to play till we get a point?
It'll be this one, I think.
Not many, because
I think it'll be this one.
It'll be Atlanta.
Also says 4.
You think
it's either this one or
San
the
Jose?
next one.
Yeah, I think it's Atlanta. Now,
What makes you think that?
Justin's I was going to say 10,
I'm
but
just trying to
talking,
figure out your thought process.
Are you talking about me or Ev?
This is all real.
I don't care who answers the question.
Well,
I don't care who answers the question.
Mean, I just think Atlanta is in a similar place where they haven't figured out what they want to be. And by then, the Union will have a left back and more games under their belt. So, in theory, that should be the game where they get points.
The Union have shown that they have players who can have chemistry together. So, if those players are properly played against an Atlanta team, I think they'd be more keen to do so, and you'll probably get a more traditional lineup out of them in the San Jose game, which, again, won't be the kids, and that'll be a shame because they should maybe try playing the kids their chemistry while against a team in Champions League that isn't at the level of an MLS team is still pretty good. It's still showing flashes of chemistry and balance that we need to build up and create chances.
I wasn't going to say 10, Evan. I was trying to figure out your thought process around how there's nothing in me watching this team that thinks like I guess a couple of my fears, like it's not that I don't think they'll figure it out at some point this season. I think they could very well figure it out at some point this season what they need to do to score goals. It's just like for me, it's like they've played maybe in 120 minutes or 100 whatever it is, 180 minutes of soccer. They played maybe 40 good minutes overall, like, and so I'm just
But yeah,
like,
absolutely. I mean, I don't think that they get more than 5 points until the end of April.
Sure. Well, and so here's the other tricky thing that I was thinking about while you were kind of being like, I don't think they're not going to put it together. For a club that, and this is even going back to like Jim's tenure, for a club that preaches like discipline and culture, we haven't seen that this year yet. Red cards. And I know that, like the one obviously against New York was like, all right, maybe not. And even the first one, you're like, okay, well, that's a global soccer issue that no one's figured out. So who knows? But like, I don't remember us getting 2 red cards in 2 straight weeks in a while. And so what I'm more concerned about is like culture, culture, culture. Carnell's a culture guy. Carnell's a culture guy. He's not a good interview. Culture guy, not a good interview. Not a good interview. Like the lack of culture development, not a good interview, is like really weird to me. And I would love to ask him about it, but he's not a good interview. And so more than anything else, like I'm just worried about the amount of red cards and kind of that side of things than the people we're bringing in talented enough, etc. to get us where we want to be, which is the playoff.
That's kind of where it's tough, and you do wonder, since culture starts from the top with the front office, and we still don't have a Tanner resolution and the season's underway.
What if it's Danny Tanner from Full House?
And I'm not saying that that's why they're getting red cards.
Sure.
Like,
but it is weird
that's a whole different issue.
Checks, basically.
But like, and I assume they still know who's allegedly in charge. But like, if the head guy's coming back, it's still very strange. Like, there is just no resolution to this, and until there's a resolution, it's just weird.
Hey, as a Pittsburgh Riverhounds fan, I'm still trying to figure out what resolution actually means.
But yeah, I mean, as someone who covers USL, I'm still trying to figure out what the hell's going on with the Riverhounds and how they can just, without ever actively moving on from Bob Lilly, just be like, Rob Vincent's the guy now. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, what do we, what are we doing here?
Here, we've hit 39 minutes, so I feel comfortable doing this. It does work out really well for the Riverhounds that, like, their whole league is operating without a CBA. So, like,
for sure.
It's really easy to bury something when it's like, we don't actually know if we're playing games this week or not. So that's cool. But, yeah.
Hopefully they'll play games this week, and NWSL will also play games this week, so the U.S. soccer season is fully back underway, and feels good for at least a year until MLS makes their season schedule switch.
Hey, shout out Malik Jakupovic, Union 2 1-0 win.
There you go. At least the second team still knows how to do it.
Ryan's got it.
And it is fun that, well, it is also just, for a while, the one thing that the Academy hasn't been producing is strikers. And so it's fun to finally see strikers.
Yes. All right. Before we get too off track, before we go too far down any of these rabbit holes, anything else about this game, the Union, we want to talk about before we get out of here?
No one wants to talk about this game anymore. I don't think anyone
No.
even wants to hear about this game anymore. Which, power to anyone that's still listening after we talked about that game for so long.
Yep.
Game you're even
Absolutely.
talking about.
Absolutely. The San Jose game. That hasn't happened yet.
That one. Yeah. How about predictions? What do we think? What are our big
We might
predictions?
actually just be able to rinse and repeat this episode next week.
Is Chris Pensa? Did they do the assignments yet?
boy,
Is Chris
nothing.
Pensa on this game too?
I feel like those come out like Thursday.
Yeah, it's probably.
I feel like it doesn't
It's
matter
very.
this year.
It doesn't.
It doesn't matter
but,
which ref. Anyway.
Fixes in, baby.
Well, that's what we think about where the Union are this season. Let us know what you think. Hit us up at VFTB Pod wherever you can find us on the internet. And we'll be back next week, hopefully before Club America, and if not, right after Club America. And then we'll catch up on all the things Union. And so, follow us on the internet. Give us some thoughts. Give us some opinions. And we'll talk to you again very, very soon.